Welcome back to Seek Strength, and welcome back very much so to Seek Stan. Today we're reacting to some lost footage, lost archives of Ilyin. So this is actually since his positive drug test in 2016. This was the best numbers he hit in the comeback. Most of these were uploaded to his story. At the time I just screen recorded them, uploaded them into a Dropbox, and completely forgot about them on that Dropbox until a few weeks ago when I went looking at the Dropbox and found loads of videos of Ilya. I've put them together in a compilation. Dara hasn't seen anything. I've seen as little as possible. I've organised some of the videos as much as I could without looking at them. There's some of the heaviest lifts Ilya hit. So this is the biggest, in this video, is the biggest clean and jerk he hit since the comeback, actually. This is the heaviest clean and jerk he hit in this run-up. And then we didn't see him surpass those numbers. And heaviest snatches as well, actually. So this Romania camp, when he was in Romania for a couple of months, were some of the best numbers he had on the comeback. And just to preface it, this comeback really looked like Ilya was on a comeback. Like when you were watching these in his story and on his posts, you were like, oh, Ilya's going to hit those old numbers again. Hopefully we've got all this sorted out. But here is the man himself. Let's get it rolling.
It really doesn't get more Seek-a-Stan than secret Ilyin recovery footage.
I don't even think Ilya has these anymore. No, he probably has them in his story, but I doubt anyone else has them. So hopefully he can bring you something special. No audio on these, unfortunately, so we've got to just listen to us. He's got a little ponytail. Started off with some front squats, snatches at 140 for 3.
I remember how different his first pull looked during this period of training.
Yeah, he was definitely starting and trying a new start position on the snatch. He's keeping his hips really low. To be honest, I don't think it suited him.
Yeah.
But he probably didn't have as much power, pizzazz. Now, there's a lot of Ilya, just selfie stuff that I'd skip through when I was recording them. This is 160. Similar. The snatching is still great, you know.
Yeah.
But
it is that kind of, that last bit extra, you know, that he kind of misses out on during these. His snatch does look very good there, though.
Yeah, these 160s do look great. To be honest with you, once I saw the outfits, I should have known the end was night. I should have known when I saw the CrossFit board shorts and stuff. And
he's a massive fan of the CrossFit knee-length shorts.
I should have known this wasn't really a good comeback.
Yes.
So with a lot of these stories, there was like him snatching. Ilya historically was terrible at back squatting, as in relative to his own capacity. So like these are 200s, and you know, even when he was in the 2014 peak, the back squats were not good.
Yeah. Front squats were phenomenal all the time.
Yes.
Back squats never looked good. Even at 200 kilos, they never looked too comfortable for him.
Now, what's interesting about this training footage is the fact that Ilya essentially did a very similar training style in terms of program, exercise selection as the 2014 prep. But if you watch the later preps, you know, when he was in Qatar and stuff like that, and things were not going great, he trained very differently to this.
Ilya had changed coach at this time as well, hadn't he? And I wonder how much of it was his own personal programming.
I think at this time, Laura Danis' coach might have been helping out a little bit. I don't think he had that new coach he switched to in the kind of the second half of the comeback years.
Yes.
I think he was getting some help in Romania, but I'm sure a lot of this seems to be, why would you change it, you know?
Yes.
Now, some of these lifts look great. Like, they looked fantastic, you know?
I think the thing he held on to, even if you look at like 2014 videos, is that the speed is still there.
Yes.
Like that explosiveness, that dynamic effort on all these is still very, very good. Obviously, the absolute weights aren't the same, and maybe technically they don't look as good, but the speed on all these looks great.
Yeah, I do. Look, we can talk about it now, but I don't know, and I've asked some people who might know, if Ilya was doing anything at this stage, and some people said he might have been doing something. Now, they don't know for sure, and I won't sell anyone out, but it probably explains why some of these look pretty good compared to later training blocks, you know?
Yes.
So we've got like a 205 here. Like, these were run-ups, you know, and these looked like his last set of run-ups, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, after this, he also did have back surgery, I remember, after his Romanian camp, I think.
One interesting thing, so particularly with this session, you see a wrist wrap on the left-hand side, you see that left elbow being far, far lower. That could be just a like hint at what's to come in terms of that back injury or in terms of an imbalance.
Okay, some heavy front rack holds. Snatching. So he did a lot of kind of random exercise in the snatch sometimes that I don't think he did before, but maybe they were kind of general GPP exercises for weightlifting. He's big fan of pulls as well in his other prep, and good mornings here and some strict pressing. Surprisingly strong press in Ilya, which you wouldn't expect for some reason.
No. And you should expect him to have a strong press because his overhead position is kind of non-conventional. Like,
Yes.
It's not like he has a phenomenal overhead position where he'll be able to lock out his elbows no matter what. Like, even in his glory days, his overhead position was always kind of strength biased, if you get what I mean. Not perfectly externally rotated, not perfectly neutral.
See, one of the big things was he injured his elbow in 2008 Beijing Olympics, and he really talked about how he's not going to have a weak overhead position again because it nearly cost him an Olympic gold. So he injured on the snatch on like 175, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 180. And yeah, like these clean and jerks do look like the classic Ilya style. Now, I know these edits are a bit sporadic, but there was a lot of stories.
Yeah.
A lot of stories. Now, interesting fact, we see a lot of power snatches, but Ilya said his best ever power snatch was like 165, and that was when he was at his best. So very, very low ratio, but these power cleans are something else.
I was just about to say, I bet his power clean is phenomenally high.
Yeah.
Or the ratio of power clean to full clean is very, very high.
Or very good even.
This is one of my favourite training halls.
It looks amazing, doesn't
I'm
it?
just going to say it right now. That kind of poured epoxy floor, massive windows behind.
Yeah, I haven't seen this training hall in anyone else's training videos, not in Loredana's or any other Romanian athletes, which is weird. They have so many training halls in Romania,
Yeah.
which kind of go unused now, I think. So we had the classic clean front squat jerk complex, which we saw a lot of in most of these preps. We even saw him, obviously, doing these heavy squat jerks. So there was reason to believe at the time that we might see it. Exceptional front squatter.
Yeah.
One of the
always.
best.
I'd say one of the best front squatters to have front squatted.
Aesthetically and absolute weightedly.
Yeah. Do we know, or what's the kind of time period here? Are these all in the course of 4 to 6 weeks? Or
No, it's a few weeks, a few months maybe. I'm not sure, to be honest. Like a summer kind of.
Yes.
Not a huge spread across them.
A Romanian summer fling.
Whoa. I wonder, was there any other fling going on?
So, like, those pulls there are at 125 kilos or something along those lines, or 130 kilos. They look very, very fast and very dynamic, but in the previous years, we obviously would have seen that kind of speed with 180 kilos or 190 kilos for his pulls,
Yeah, his snatches do look great here,
Yeah.
And like, we'll get some of the heavier snatches and clean and jerks in a minute, and they do look good, but it was just it was such an interesting time to see what would happen after the sweeping assassinations via doping cases, retests. No one thought Ilya was going to get caught in the retests,
Yes. He was the golden boy.
Yeah, his snatch technique is a bit different. Hips are a lot lower.
Yeah.
I don't particularly think it's suited, especially without straps.
What I'd really love to know is what's going on in his head during this. Like, what's his opinion of these lifts? Do they feel like all the others in the previous run-ups? Do they feel heavy? Do they feel more difficult? Is he in pain?
I think he might have been a bit delusional with what he could achieve. And I say that as a number one Ilya fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he wasn't using anything or didn't plan anything using, I think he might have, maybe later years might have showed that. I think he might have thought he could have done more without them than he actually could have,
Yes.
And
it's very difficult as well if you're used to training in a particular way and all of your competition prep or all of your competition peaks are using a certain thing and a lot of a certain thing, and then suddenly you're supposed to go and train without any of that. Like, you're essentially relearning what programming is.
Yes, and what you can expect from your own training, I think so. Miso's father called it really well. We were in Qatar at the time, and a lot of this is going on, and Miso's father said basically he doesn't think he'll do more than like 170, 200 or 160, 200 in comp, and he actually didn't end up doing much more than that. But Miso's father said he's probably capable of more, but he doesn't think he would have achieved more.
Yes.
And I think they kind of knew him, so that was based off of some very accurate, I suppose, knowledge from an very, very experienced coach. And it's funny how well it proved to be true, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when they're probably not spending a massive amount of time with him. Like they probably see him for a couple of weeks every year or so. But it's funny when a coach like that just has a feeling, they're rarely wrong.
The Gabriel said he probably could do close to 182.20, which is what he does in this prep. I think he gets up like 175 to 15 or the heaviest without anything. And he does get close. So that's what makes me wonder. So no one knows for sure, just to be really clear in that comment, if he was using anything during this time. And it's very possible he wasn't, you know, because he is literally one of the greatest lifters ever. He was a full-time athlete during this period. He had years of benefit from PEDs, but also just incredible genetics for weightlifting, you know. So it's not untoward to think he might have hit these numbers natural, you know. Would he have hit them natural? I suppose a lot of people's question was, would he have hit them natural if he'd never taken anything?
Yeah, full raw from day one.
Raw, natty, vegan. And it's so hard to know. You just don't know. There's really no answer to that question, you know. As much as you want to condemn someone or as much as you want to defend someone, you just don't know when it comes to that kind of thing. Like, what's
the long-lasting effects of it?
No, even what can the best weightlifter ever do, you know, or best of the best?
Yes. Yeah, I think people mistakenly say people from a clean country, or in inverted commas, a clean country, have hit X and Y, and so this is what a clean lifter does, whereas realistically, lifters in every country are using stuff all the time.
I think one mistake people make, and this goes to certainly in this day and era, is people will be like, I just want to know what's possible in natty, and then they look at someone like Ilyin, but you're like, there is no point you knowing what Ilyin can do natty, because he is going to be so much better than you whatever he does and whatever you do, you know. That's a pointless endeavor. Like, it's completely pointless. And we've said this for years, and it's something I still believe. Like, if you're looking at other people for a end goal, if you're looking at people for a stopgap in what you think you can achieve and that's what you think you can do, you're really on the wrong track. You just don't see any of the best athletes thinking like that. But I think what you really need to look at is like the average number of weightlifters, what they could do natty. Like, I know you can't know that, but there's no point in either looking at someone like Ilya or Lasha or Lou before or after doing drugs and trying to get an end point, you know. I think it's really a waste of time, because the likelihood is you're not them, you know.
The other thing is their situation from day one is so utterly different from what you've been lifting on, for what most people have been lifting in. The main thing, if you're trying to pick goals for weightlifting, or you're looking for some motivation, maybe you're starting a new training block in January, the big thing you want is to just look at where you are now and then the distance between where you want to be. So like, if maybe you are a phenomenally talented person, we know loads of talented weightlifters, and maybe you're looking at somebody who went to European seniors last year, it's very reasonable for you to say, okay, their total is 25 kilos heavier than mine. This is the total gap I'm seeing, and now you make intermediary goals in between there. So the first thing might be putting 5 kilos or 10 kilos onto your total. The next thing might be qualifying for your national senior team as a junior or something along those lines. But the big thing is those intermediary goals and setting those out and having somewhat realistic expectations, rather than looking at literally the best lifters in the world and seeing what do they do, what did they achieve by whatever age. It's really not realistic for most people.
See, the problem as well is, even if you have the genetics of them, let's say you were as good as those you were blessed with similar genetic profile, the expression of those genetics, because Ilya started training when he was 6 or 7, or, you know, whatever sport you pick, you're still in a position where you haven't the same level of training volume and those long-term adaptations, and you don't have the same expression of those genetics in that same fashion, because as he matured and as he aged, he essentially trained his body both with chemical signaling and, in the absence of it, just from physical endeavors. Nurture nature came into play and was probably changing how he would forever be in terms of athletics. You know, the younger you train, the more training volume you get. So even if you had the same, but you're starting at 30, it still doesn't matter, you know. And I don't think it should matter to you. I don't think it should be something you worry about. Just like Dara was saying, just get better for yourself. It'll be much happier. Because let's say you even did know. Let's say you could say for sure what Ilya would have done natural. And what if you never hit it? Are you then unhappy forever?
Yeah.
You know, what is the point, you know? If you can't go from 100 to 110, why does it matter that Ilya can do 170 natural? You know, what's like you're hurting your own progress because you're not going to train as smart and you're not going to enjoy your own progress as much as possible, you know? But if you're like, I just need to get to 100 and then I need to get to 110 in the next 8 months and that's my goal, you'll be so much happier. You know?
Yeah. The last thing I will say as well is don't always look at the people around you as the kind of ultimate arbiters of how high or how low your goals should be. If you're training in a gym and everybody's snatching 85 kilos, don't ever think that you're not capable of snatching 140. But in the same breath, there could be 4 people training with a 140 kilo snatch. Just because they're there and had the same coach and appear to do the same things doesn't mean you're going to do 140. So it is very, very, very different from individual to individual.
Okay, so we're getting some heavier lifts now. We've seen some pretty heavy front squats. I think 235 was the heaviest we'd seen. That's probably one thing that would make me think he possibly wasn't using anything, is the front squat to clean and jerk kind of ratio we ended up seeing.
Yeah.
So 215 to 235, you'd probably expect his max strength to be higher. So we've got heavier snatches. So he's moving really fast and really well, I think, in a lot of these.
That static start on the snatch is very, very strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it only strange, though, because Ilya is doing it?
No, sorry. It's strange for him.
Yes.
As a man who would have previously jogged up to the bar and then ripped on it.
So you see him weighing in the hundreds here. So this is one of the heavier snatches now, 165. Very nice snatch, in my opinion.
Yeah. Really, really nice.
That's like a snatch where you're like, okay, 180 is probably coming around for someone like him.
Yeah.
165 again, loaded. And this one's without straps. Just as nice, in my opinion.
I know we mentioned it at the start and we talked about it, but the maintenance of speed.
175 here as one of the heaviest ones.
Oh, yeah. The maintenance and speed is unbelievable, isn't it?
Across the whole lift?
Yeah. Just how fast he's pulling under those heavier lifts.
75. Okay, here's a 210 clean and jerk. So this is getting very, very close. Some of the heaviest clean and jerks we saw. Techers look basically the same, you know. The physique obviously isn't quite the same compared to previous. This 200 clean and jerk here is one of my favorite clean and jerks ever.
Geez, that timing in the bottom of the clean is something else.
The timing in the bottom of the jerk is crazy.
Yeah.
The whip is unbelievable. So this is 212. So really heavy now. It's like the second heaviest clean and jerk we saw at all from any comeback. But very good though. Very, very good.
Really good.
Now 215. We didn't see any heavier clean and jerks than this. This was it for the comeback. It's not really a comeback, was it? What would you call it?
I don't know.
Attempted comeback?
Yeah.
215.
Attempted sounds wrong though.
This is a 210 jerk. These are ridiculous.
Yeah. Geez, that 210 was lovely.
This 220 now. This was where Gabriel has his camps, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Speaking of camps, we'll be advertising our Portugal camp in January for April. So we have it there. What do you think?
I love watching those. I love watching the full run of them.
Yeah.
I remember being very, very skeptical when it happened.
No, you were. You can say you were.
Yeah. I was skeptical. You were excited, and it was okay you were excited. He's your favorite person in the world.
Nah, he's not my favorite person.
At the time.
Favorite weightlifter.
So
I don't know him.
I remember just being very skeptical when it was happening, but it's class to see in any sport across all. So obviously weightlifting is very close to my heart, but I love watching full training cycles of people, seeing what they're like at the start, seeing what they're like at the end, seeing how technical changes are made, physical changes are made. I really enjoyed watching it.
At the time, this was very exciting because no one really knew where it was going to end up, was the thing. We were all like, oh, okay, so this is going really well. He's done 175 a few times. He did 215. So everyone was like, okay, have we figured out a new way of passing tests? Or like, are we going to see a natty Ilya do? Like, I think because a lot of people, if he'd done like 180, 220 in a feasible, like as a 105 or something, and it was probably not natty is the wrong word. Now not taking anything.
Yes.
I think a lot of people would have been like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even you probably would have been like, that's pretty that's pretty cool. But what we end up seeing then in competitions, unfortunately,
Not that.
wasn't great, unfortunately.
My ultimate hope when this was happening was that he'd make a decision at some point to say, I'm not competing again, and just go full clock off world tour, send it to the moon.
Yeah, I think from everything we heard and saw, I think he probably had some mental issues with that.
Yeah,
I'd say
yeah.
that probably would have been something that wouldn't have been feasible. So yeah, there's some footage you probably haven't seen of Ilya. What a guy.
What a guy.
What an end, unfortunately.
Yeah, very, very sad.
But it's how it always ends in weightlifting.
Yeah.
You just cannot. You've got to retire. Dimas retired, and Lou got popped. Ilya got popped. Lasha has been popped already, and I hope he doesn't get popped again.
Yeah.
Name bombed in Sydney Olympics after trying to make a comeback. Halil Mutlu got popped in retrospect. Klokov got popped in retrospect. Akayev didn't get popped.
Nobody gets out scot-free.
Nobody gets out scot-free. Kalecki, did he get popped in retrospect? Well, I think he got his medal. He ended up getting gold in Beijing because Ilya, but then there was rumours Sisman Kowecki was popped when he was 14, and then he definitely got popped again as an adult, but you used to get 2 positives before you were banned for life before. And who else are we? Any other big names? Any massive names that
got lifetime bans?
No, did anyone get out? Was Dimas the only person who got out alive?
Unless you're from a Western country, you don't get out.
No, but I'm talking about greats.
No. I can't think of anyone.
I think,
and I'm sure people are going to hit us up here and tell us.
I think Dimas is the only person who got out unscathed.
Yeah.
Did everybody else, did something get them? Or did something terrible happen? Did anyone finish weightlifting and just like scot-free and get out? It was a great weightlifter. Like, it was really one of the best.
Dmitry Klokov nearly did that, but it was in
he wasn't
retroactive tests.
He was an average elite lifter.
Yeah,
silver,
but still.
Silver at Olympics, like 1 gold medal at the Worlds after. Now, who hates your favourite weightlifter?
Oh.
Now, how does that make you feel, Dara? Yeah.
If you are starting training in January and you want to start the best training block of your life, go and check out the link below. It's to the Secret Strength training app. All of our programs are up there. All of the newest training programs we have are up there. It allows you to run 2 programs at the same time. It has smart coaching logic. So as you're going through your training sessions and the weights you finish off the training sessions with, it will adjust your future sessions to make sure you're getting the most possibly efficient training you could possibly get.
You took it. How about video?